please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly, could you please let the record show that we are all here? Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at that?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Support.
I have one comment on that.
Go ahead.
Just on the meeting minutes, the line 329.
Yep.
To just preface by saying Mr. Elko questioned Mr. Enlow, myself on that.
Mr. Elko questioned Mr. Enlow. Okay.
Yeah, on which plan you like best.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, Kelly, could you please call this one by roll?
Christopher Elmo,
Yes.
John Hicks,
Yes.
Tricia Carcone,
Yes.
Don O'Neill,
Yes.
John Dolan,
Yes.
Michelle Camp,
Yes.
Susan Blake.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Announcements and communications. Does anyone have any announcements or?
I just wanted to give an update. Leslie Zawada and Bob and I met with each other and had Robert Swain on speakerphone regarding the sidewalk committee, and we made some progress. We're looking at trying to do the north side and the south side of 11 Mile, and we've also discussed having reaching out to the school district, especially because the south side and the north side would both very likely eliminate the need for busing from Carriage Club to Pearson, which is not very far, but not a safe walk at this point. So Leslie sent an email, and we haven't heard yet,
Try and have them join us at our next committee meeting, if possible.
Great.
Very
but
good.
we're moving along.
Awesome. Like to hear that. Anyone else?
I do. I just want to make mention that the December 1st winter tax bills went out last Thursday. So if you don't get your tax bill, contact our office. If you haven't gotten it yet, you might get it in the next couple days. So winter tax bills are here.
I have nothing special this evening, but seeing as how this is our last meeting, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, John. That's very nice. Okay, anyone else? I see none. Let's move on to the call to the public. Anyone that'd like to come up to the microphone and talk to the board? Anything non-agenda related? Come on up. Okay, seeing none, let's move on to reports. DDA, Tina.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to report that the DDA Economic Development and Design and Appearance Committees will begin to meet on a regular basis once per month prior to the regular DDA board meetings. The board has decided to initiate this because, excuse me, it's been created to help address the numerous inquiries that we're receiving in the development and redevelopment of parcels in the downtown area. So the committees will review and evaluate the overall impact of these proposed developments, and will meet to discuss development strategies as well as make recommendations to the DDA board regarding acquisition or sale of properties, and also the leveraging of township-owned parcels for public benefit. Excuse me. On November 14th, I attended Oakland County's Economic Development Gathering. This is a great networking opportunity. And I also attended the Planners Gathering this past Friday in Holly. Sorry. Allergies. Both of them were very successful events, and it really is an opportunity to address any outstanding issues or concerns that we might have working with the county, so it gives a great opportunity to give that feedback. Also, 10 additional jobs were posted to our LionWorks Facebook page, and we received 20 new likes in the last week. So we're trying to build some more readership on that so we can get information about job opportunities out to folks. On November 25th, many of our small businesses participated in the Shop Small Saturday campaign. This is offered by American Express. It's actually a national campaign that tries to help businesses take advantage of the weekend after Thanksgiving. And so many of our businesses participated. I was able to collect a lot of promotional items from the county such as gift bags and posters and flyers, and provided that to all of our businesses in the downtown. Excuse me, one more item. Tim Hortons on Pontiac Trail opened on Friday after Thanksgiving, and the owner reported that sales were far exceeding their expectations.
Wow, great.
And they were very pleased not only with the support from the township through their construction process, but also support with the community. And we'll be scheduling an official ribbon cutting after the holidays. Sometimes we do the ribbon cuttings on their grand opening, but sometimes it can be a little hectic. So we try to do a ribbon cutting sometime after that event. And that concludes my report.
I feel for you. I feel the same way. Okay, Chief Van Spearentech today. Fire.
Good evening. It's a brief report. We did get our floors done at Station 1, the epoxy quartz flooring. It looks really nice. Come on down and visit. And Station 2 is slated for next Monday to get started. Also, I just wanted to recognize our firefighters today. They were on a medical down in the Tanglewood area and witnessed a collapse and initiated CPR and brought the patient to Providence Park with a pulse and breathing. So our guys saved a life today, and I just wanted to acknowledge them for that.
Fantastic.
Good news.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Venus.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
On December 21st will be our Shop of the Hero event. It starts at 1:30 in the afternoon, so if anybody wants to come down, you're more than welcome to come down to the Walmart and hang around, talk to the residents and kids or whatever you would like to do. And just an update on our Scorpions fire. We do have an arrest warrant for an individual. He's in Ohio right now, so maybe Ed can give him a ride up when he comes back up. But when they're done with him, they'll let us know, and then we'll have to go down and pick him up. And then I'll have to wait till he gets arraigned to get the name to you. But he is he's kind of a local person, so he kind of moved around all West Oakland County. He's lived everywhere, so
Wow.
that's an update to that. So that's moved forward, and it looks like it's going to have a conclusion. Other than that, that's all I have.
Hey, Lieutenant, real quick, you said December 21st, what time?
1:30.
1:30.
We started at 1:30 for the high school kids, and they usually, last year we did it in 2 groups, so the elementary kids don't have to be pulled out of school.
Perfect, thank you
And
very
then they get
much.
there as soon as school's up, then we take them out.
That's a great thing you do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant, I just wanted to know, I wanted to thank you because I like the layout of this report.
Yeah.
And will you be providing the SRO information in our next one?
Yeah, he works on that because he has to do that per the contract that we have with the school district. He has to compile that information.
Okay.
And I think he's doing it like I do it. Or he might do it at halfway through the school year and then at the
Okay.
end of the school year.
All right.
But I know he keeps his stats up to date as far as what he does, so when it comes time to do that, it's,
Excellent. I just like to see how it's going over there, so.
he's been busy, so. Not with nothing real major, just small things that he can handle. They really enjoy it, or really like him over there, so.
Great.
It's working good.
He's a likable guy.
Oh, yeah,
He does a good job.
I'd like to just mention to Mark that, and you know, but maybe not the public knows, but the staff at the Lyon Township Hall and the officials, we all put in $1 every single Friday to allow us to wear jeans, and all that money goes to Shop with a Cop, except for this year, we did send $100 of our jean money to the family that had the house that burned down. So we are participants in that, and it's
Yeah, every
always
year.
a joy for us to do that, and that comes from our girls and guys and everybody here, so
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have it. Works out really well.
and we're happy to give it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, so you guys should try to make it down there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Yep.
Now the Planning Commission.
Oh, that's okay. In November, we had 2 Planning Commission meetings. The first one was Monday, November 13th. We had no public hearings. The only new business we had was Hassan Cleaver Farms PD Amendment Final Review, which is actually on our agenda for tonight. And the Planning Commission made their recommendation to the Township Board to approve that. And it really was a simple change. for Nick that, and he'll explain it tonight. It was changing the order of the building, you know, how they're going to build each phases. Also, we had, for additional business, we had the cricket facility proposal, and it was a gentleman that is looking to buy a piece of property in our township to have a cricket facility, fields. And he just brought it to the discussion of the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission was actually not really in favor of where the location was because it was surrounded by residential dirt roads. But he's welcome to come back and do whatever he thinks is right. And that concluded that meeting. We also had a meeting on Monday, November 27th. We did have a public hearing on the parallel plan text amendment, which is also on the township board, and the Planning Commission also recommended that to the township board for approval. Under old business, we had USA to Go site plan and also their special land use. The township board also gave recommendation for both of those to go to the township board. However, they have to, and Carol's office caught that, which again, we're so pleased that they were able to catch it. The actual application did not include the restaurant part. So they are going to come back with a couple little changes that they have to, and the Planning Commission, they were fine with that, and we did that. And that was our conclusion. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Patty. Moving on to the ZBA, Lisa, anything?
Yes, we had Brenda Allen on Lamplighter Drive came in to request a variance regarding the 60-foot rear yard setback. And it just had a lot to do with the orientation of the home. It faced one side, it was on a corner lot, and just the way that the house was situated, it appears that it was intended to have, even though it was its backyard, it was really its side yard, and that was granted, that variance was granted. And then the Cunningham Limp Company for their third sign variance for the size facing 96, and that was also granted.
Very good, thank you. Park Advisory Board, is that you also?
No,
Or
it
is-
was supposed to be me, but we had an
Okay.
election that day, so I missed it. So I don't know if Chris has anything at all.
Well, their continued focus, primary focus is on the 11-mile road park and what needs to be done to get that underway. And towards that end, there's something on the agenda later in the evening regarding that. A proposal to get some funding underway to do the topo survey and things of that nature. So we're moving ahead with the planning of the 11-mile road park. And also another issue that they dealt with was re-upping the membership in the M-Parks organization and going to the annual conference that's sponsored by M-Parks.
Okay. Thank you, Chris, I appreciate that. Bob, anything from the DPW?
Yep. On Thursday, November 30th, John, Leslie, Anthony from Highland Treatment and myself ventured to Warren, where we met with the Department of Environmental Quality on both operations and outlook for the wastewater treatment plant and the township, tap-ins and things such as that. We met with the top people that overlook that, Dennis Ryan and a few other people there. Meeting went very well. Then today we met with Oakland County, who overlooks our water system, and we talked about things such as capital improvement plan and asset management. And it's really important to do this kind of stuff because it keeps open lines of communication, and we all know where everybody's heads are at as we deal with that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, that concludes the reports, and we're moving on to the approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions from any one of you?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. All right, we have two public hearings tonight. The first one is a Community Development Block Grant Program Year 218. And before I open that public meeting, I'd like Chris to explain what that CDBG fund actually is.
Okay, well, the block grant funds are actually federal funds that are allocated to communities once a year. And they're for the benefit of low and moderate income residents. And this year, we participate through Oakland County. And this year, Oakland County has instructed us to plan to receive $29,719 for program year 2018. And this is the same amount as was applied for in program year 2017. The actual allocation is not known for each community until several months after the application. And in fact, last year, we actually received $44,141. But for planning purposes, again, we have to plan for $29,719, and we have 4 projects that are identified. One is for public services, battered and abused spouses. We'll be providing services for abused spouses and their children through a program called Haven. And there's a $3,000 allocation set aside for that program. The second one is Senior Center, and this one is to provide access fees for Lyon Township seniors to use the South Lyon Center for Active Adults. And the amount allocated for that purpose is $16,183. And then for public services, youth assistance. This program is for the purposes of providing tutoring, career counseling, and emotional wellness programs and summer camp scholarships through the South Lyon Area Youth Assistance. And the allocation here is $3,951. And then finally, the fourth program is minor home repair. And the purpose is to assist low and moderate income households with outstanding repairs of up to $5,000 per household. And the amount allocated for that purpose is $6,585. So that's the basic framework of the program.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris. That kind of explains a little bit what these funds do, and these are basically a pass-through fund, right?
That's right.
The state gives us the money, and then we allocate it the way that you just heard explained. Okay, so that being said, I'd like to open a public hearing at 7:18 to have any public comment on the CDBG funds. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:18 and move on to the next public hearing that we have. The next public hearing is for our 2018 budget, and this public hearing is just to assure the public that our expenses do not exceed our revenues, and we basically are in very good shape. Not any of our funds do that, so that's basically what this public hearing is for. So that being said, I'd like to open that public hearing at 7:19 and have anyone that'd like to come up to the microphone and talk about the budget to come on up. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close that public hearing at 7:19, and we're going to move on to unfinished business. Our first business is Artesian Pioneer update. Thank you, Ed.
Good evening. From my family to yours, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. All that good stuff. I wish I had a better Christmas present, but we're still answering questions at DEQ on both the 9 Mile Tower and Woodwind. We received a comment letter back on the 9 Mile Tower Friday at 5 o'clock, so we're just now starting to answer that one. And the woodwind project, or the woodwind plant, we answered 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think we're on our 3rd week now, so I'm expecting something back from them on woodwind here shortly. I promise you, eventually they'll run out of questions, okay, and we'll get to it, okay. We are getting there, inch by inch. Anything's a cinch, is my motto, and we will do this, and it's coming. But so is winter. I guess it's coming this week, so we'll have to just evaluate where we are when we actually get permits to move forward on either project, either one of those projects. The good news is we've drilled the 2 observation wells at South Hill, and you just literally have tons and tons of water. You know, we anticipated that. It came out exactly the way we anticipated it. But as my grandmother used to say, you know, the cookbooks have great recipes, but until the food hits the mouth, you don't know if you got a winner. And that's you know, we do have a winner at South Hill. You got lots of water. The static level of the water actually is 27 feet. The well's 260 feet deep. So you have tons of water there, and that's good news. The 2 observation wells are complete. The production well is being, they either started, did they start today?
It wasn't out today.
Okay. They either started today or they're going to start tomorrow with the production well, and that'll be a couple weeks on that process of by the time they get that drilled and cleaned and tested and so forth. But really, really good news there at South Hill, and there's no reason we won't end up with a 3rd well. Just to update you or to remind you, the reason for the 3rd well there is to get 4,000 gallons a minute, just like we have at Woodwind for the plant approval, okay? So the South Hill is going well. The DEQ reviews are they're going well. They're just going slower than I anticipated. The good news is on the nano softening, we don't have anything in writing yet, but I think we have actually provided DEQ with a solution that they'll buy into as far as the discharge. And as you remember, it was never about the softening of the water, it was the discharge of the water that we needed to tackle. And I think we have a workable solution. They verbally, in their own way, have kind of said yes, okay? You know, we have to give them some more data and some more facts, and then put it all in writing and come up with a plan for doing that. And that will probably happen later on in January or February. I don't want to muddy the water, as I say. I don't want to muddy the water as far as getting the Woodwind filtration plan approved and the first tower approved, because those 2 things are critical to you know, this next summer's demand. I really want to try to get that tower built before your summer demand hits, and so I don't want to do anything that'll slow that process down. So we're putting total focus on the Woodwind plant and on the 9 Mile tower, and then we'll tackle the nano softening a little later or a little earlier next year, early next year. Okay. Mm-hmm. Any questions?
And what size is that production well, South Hill? What's a diameter on that?
It's going to be
one?
12 inches in diameter.
12. Okay.
And if we really get lucky, we'll get that one rated for 2,000 gallons per minute. Although I have to bend the arm of the hydrogeologist to do that. He doesn't like doing a 12-inch well that high. But what will probably happen is we'll get the new well approved for somewhere between 1,500 and 1,800 gallon a minute, And then we'll go back and your 2 original wells, we'll get them raised up from, they're at 950 or 980 right now, and we'll get them raised up to 12 or 1300 gallons a minute. So the combination of the 3 then running simultaneously will produce the 4,000. That's the game plan. Okay?
You mentioned a solution to the nanofilter discharge. Is that an expensive solution, or is that?
Well, no, I mean, it's not an expensive solution because we don't really have the solution yet. We just have their buy-in as to what we can do with the water. We have to basically bring it back to where your sewer plant discharges, okay? Woodwind will be a much easier haul than the South Hill plant. But keep in mind, we're not talking about running a 16-inch line or, a large diameter line to do that. We can pressure pipe that. And again, we got a lot of engineering, a lot of calculations to do yet, but I don't want to limit myself here or speak out of turn, but we may be able to go with as small as a 3-inch line to run that water up there. So I guess it's, to answer your question, expensive. I don't think it'll be that expensive, but we haven't really done the calculations yet. Okay.
That's one of others that we're looking at also, right?
Right. And we haven't given up of the idea of, not to confuse you or give you, facts that, or information that's not factual, but the whole argument here is that we need to convince DEQ that when we put the discharge back in the ground, it is combined with your sewer discharge into the ground, okay? And when you put those 2 numbers together, they buy into that formula, okay? Well, we're making the argument that even if we put it in the ground at the South Hill site, it's going into the same aquifer as your discharge at your sewer lagoons or your sewer beds. So we're still arguing that fact, and I don't know if we'll win or not, but either way, we have found a solution that they can buy into. So we just have to come to an agreement of where we actually put the water back in the ground at. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Ed.
Well, I better get back and get that guy out of Ohio. So. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Yep.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, moving on, our second order of business in medical marijuana. I think this is a second reading.
That's right. The purpose of this is to prohibit growers, processors, provisioning centers, secure transporters, and safety compliance facilities as defined in Michigan State Act 281 of 2016, which was the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act. And the township attorney has put it into ordinance form, so it's ready for your action tonight.
Okay. So this is a second reading. Anyone like to give us a motion for that?
I'll move the adoption of ordinance 07-17.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? You want to call this one by roll?
Lisa Blade?
Yes.
Christopher Enlow?
Yes.
Michelle Cash?
Yes.
Sean O'Neill?
Yes.
John Hicks?
Yes.
John Dolan?
Yes.
Patricia Carpenter?
Yes.
All right.
We said no.
All right, moving on to new business. First order here, we have a potential request to reconsider for the January 2018 Board Agenda Campground Text Amendments, AP 1738.
You want me to start with this?
Yeah, would you please?
Okay. This is a situation that's sort of unique, but it can take place. There has been some thought by at least one of the board members that this issue as to whether there should be the campground text amendment should be looked at again by the township. Usually a reconsideration may come up in a situation where you might learn additional information afterward, or you may have voted on a motion and you didn't realize that you were voting the wrong way because of the way the motion was worded, or just because you're thinking, I don't think I made the right decision there. So that's kind of what's opening it up. So I would say this was an item that had a lot of interest, by the public. So understand, if you do vote to reconsider tonight, you won't be taking any action tonight, all right? I would recommend that you either, if it is a vote to reconsider, that then you would pass a motion to send it back to the Planning Commission for further study with some direction. The motion to reconsider has to be made by somebody who voted in the majority at the last meeting, so somebody who voted to deny the text amendments. So with that,
Okay.
Chris, you want to?
Yeah, so I'm the board member in question. So I guess Carol did a great job of summing it up. But, so I'll make the motion to reconsider the board's previous action on the request for text amendments on the campgrounds, AP 1738, to remand it to the Planning Commission at their January meeting.
Okay, do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to reconsider this agenda and send it back. Any further discussion?
I had a question.
Everyone understand?
Well, are we going to decide what kind of direction to give them at this time, or will it be after action's taken?
Yeah, I would start with a simple motion to reconsider, because if that fails, then
Okay.
you don't have to be given any direction. So if you're willing to,
I'll amend
revise your motion.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion. So it's just a motion to reconsider.
And I'll re-support that.
All right, so we have the reconsider motion and the support.
And then I would suggest at this point that you have some discussion about whether you do want to do this, and if you do want to do this, how you want to proceed.
Okay, Sean, go ahead.
I just didn't, I know there were several different opinions as to how this should have been handled last month, and maybe a split on whether or not it should have gone back to the Planning Commission or should have been dealt with. So I guess that was, if it's going to go back to the Planning Commission for further study with some direction, I don't object to that, because I think regardless of your feeling on the issue as an individual, I think it's certainly, the question merits some attention and some cleanup, so the ordinance is clear. So I would agree with that direction.
I like having it go back to the Planning Commission, and I think when we have the use defined, but then no place to put it. And I feel like there's a disconnect between those two, and whichever direction the Planning Commission may take, at least to eliminate that dispute, would be a good idea.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion to reconsider. Want to call this one by roll? Do we need a roll call on
No.
this one? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, well, we've got it to send back to the Planning Commission. Now, what's the next motion? You want a motion?
I would, if that's the way you want to go, I would do a motion to remand it back to the Planning Commission with some instructions, if you have any in particular, or just to, restudy the issue and provide further recommendation back to the Township Board, either way you'd like to go.
Okay, somebody want to carve that motion out to send it back to the Planning Commission?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to remand to the Planning Commission. I guess our direction then would be to relook at the text amendments such that that it more, I guess, matches the use, the definition and the use patterns are somewhat matched up. I think you put it a little more eloquent than I did.
Chris, you want to?
I'm not sure how to tell you the truth. I think the issue is that have standards but the use is not permitted. Is that not the issue?
So would it be directing them to remove the standards?
Well, they would have to make a recommendation either to remove the standards or remove the use, or amend the standards so they can match the use or remove the use. I guess is
Didn't they do that last month?
Well, I think it's a combination of also that you have an existing use without really defined standards too. Which was one of the things that Chris had worked on, was putting some standards. If you are gonna have a campground, what are we gonna require? So it's a kind of a combination of both issues.
Yeah.
Because there is right now a disconnect with existing land uses and the regulations in the zoning ordinance. And it may be that it ultimately turns out the same, but, you're just asking the planning commission to look at it again and see if you can jive it.
I would, it would make sense to, as long as we have a campground already, to have a definition for the campground. I mean, we have the definition, I guess, we just don't have it labeled for the campground. So make it a special land use.
And I guess, we'll provide the planning commission with the minutes of this meeting so that they will understand, what some of your questions are for them to study.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have that in the motion, do we?
No.
Just to remand it back to the planning commission and provide the minutes.
Right. I think if you provide the minutes, they'll have some idea of some of what the thoughts are of the board members.
From the last meeting and from this
Correct.
meeting as well? Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'll be there, so I can
Yes.
give the flavor of the board.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to remand it back to the planning commission in January.
Correct.
Is that correct? Did we have a second on that?
Yes.
We did,
Yes.
okay. So we have a motion to remand it back to the planning commission
Who was
and a
the second?
second.
Oh, you second?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, so the public understands too, this will be placed on the agenda, so those members of the public that were interested in the issue before will be able to see that it's on the agenda and come and comment again.
Sounds good. Okay, moving forward, we're on to the supervisor appointments for the zoning board of appeals beginning December 2017. And I'd like to start by saying that we've had a long time running gentleman that's really did a great job on the planning commission, or I'm sorry, the ZBA. And it's just, we have a lot of new people in the neighborhoods now, and they all would like a chance to serve the township. So occasionally here, we're gonna probably replace a few of the people that's been here a long time. And that's being said, I have put a application in front of you, and that's Dean Wickham, who's here in the audience, so you wanna come on up. I would like to appoint Dean to the ZBA in place of Bill Irwin.
Support that.
Okay. We have a motion to put Dean on. Did you want to say anything, Dean? Or are you
I
good?
appreciate the opportunity to serve, and
Okay.
here to answer any questions you might have. Familiar with most of you, so,
Okay.
and I can be an asset.
I think you will be. All right, we have a motion and we have a support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome to the ZBA.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, also on the ZBA, we do have an alternate that's up, and that is Paul Fransway. And Paul is an alternate. He comes when he's asked, and he'd like to stay on and serve that position. And I'd like to keep him there if we possibly can. So I'd like to make a motion to have Paul Fransway stay in the alternate position on the ZBA.
I will second that.
Okay, and any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, keep that one going. My next appointments are for the Board of Review. And I've talked with Stacy, who is our assessor, for quite some time, and she is extremely happy with the three people that she has on this board. And this board meets only a couple times a year. It isn't a really, they just only meet a couple times a year. So that being said, I would like to appoint the three gentlemen, and I have a new alternate that would like to also come to the Board of Review, so I would like to appoint them now. I'd like to keep Jim Chuck on there as one of the members. So I'd like to appoint Jim Chuck back to the,
I will second that.
okay, we have a nominee and a support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have Mike Barber that also serves on that board, and I'd like to reappoint him.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support.
Oh.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And we also have Mike Forbay, who's been on there for a while, and he does a very, very excellent job. And I'd like to reappoint Mike Forbay.
I'll support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's our board. Now I have one alternate, and her resume is also in front of you. Her name is Deborah Conrad. She would like to be our alternate. Yeah, is that Deb? Come on up, Deb. I'm glad you came up. So Deborah would like to be our alternate on the Board of Review. Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to meet all of you, except I have met Michelle before.
Oh, great. Well, I'd like to appoint Deborah Conrad to the Board of Review.
I'll support.
Perfect.
Okay,
Hope I can
motion
help.
and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
Welcome to the Board of Review, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you all. Moving on. Hassel Cleaver Farms, final planned review, AP 1639. Okay, Chris.
Okay, Clay Development Company is proposing to develop a 50-unit, single-family detached residential subdivision on a 42.85-acre site located on the north side of 8 Mile Road, 1/4 mile west of Griswold Road. Lots have a width of 95 feet or larger measured at the 35-foot front setback line. The smallest lot measures 17,556 square feet, and the largest lot measures 25,614 square feet. The proposed side yard setbacks will result in a minimum of 30 feet between homes. This case has been before you previously, as noted in the project history, and it previously received final approval by the Township Board on September 6, 2016. And the applicant executed the plan development agreement, which was recorded at the Oakland County Register of Deeds on December 2nd, 2016. Meanwhile, the applicant proceeded to seek his outside approvals and ran into a roadblock with the Washtenaw County Road Commission with respect to access out onto 8 Mile Road, and that ended up or resulted in modification to the site plan and modification to the plan that resulted in him coming back with a revised plan that is before you tonight. Now, the current plan that is before the Township Board for consideration for final approval provides the same layout and the same number of units as the previous one, except that the new plan calls for construction of a new main public access route out to Griswold Road. And this access route will replace an existing gravel private road, that being Deer Haven Drive. Along with this improvement, development phasing would change, with units 16 through 35 being in Phase 1. Our review findings are as follows. The current layout is substantially the same as the previously approved preliminary plan. The main access to the development will be via Deer Haven Drive, which will be a public road when reconstructed. And this is important, there will be no direct access to 8 Mile Road. The land on which the 8 Mile Road access road was previously proposed will no longer be part of the planned development. Plans indicate the land will revert to a common single-family residential lot. A total of 8.33 acres of open space are required, and the revised plan provides 8.47 acres, which is 20.3%, which is in compliance with the ordinance requirements. And an entrance sign is proposed on Griswold Road at the intersection with Deer Haven Drive. The sign structure measures 12 feet in width by 6 feet in height. Although the width of the lettering is not specified, it's clear that it measures substantially less than the permitted 48 square feet. Our recommendation is as follows. At its November 13th meeting, the Planning Commission complimented the developer for finding an access solution that will benefit 3 subdivisions by providing connected road network. The commission then unanimously approved a motion to recommend final approval of Haas and Cleaver Farms plan development to the Township Board. Now, earlier today, Chris and I had an exchange of emails concerning the lot that goes out to 8 Mile that was previously going to be used as access out to 8 Mile, and we think that that needs to be dealt with in the revised plan development agreement to clarify what's going to happen to that lot and what the time frame is going to be for taking care of that lot and converting it from its muddy existence to a more manicured condition. So perhaps Nick can address that tonight.
Okay. Leslie, do you have anything before we get the applicants up here?
I just wanted to refer to my December 1st review letter, which is in your packet. This project, the project in 2006 received approval from Washtenaw County Road Commission for drainage into the 8 Mile Road right-of-way. The applicant will need to obtain current approvals for the stormwater discharge into the 8 Mile Road right-of-way prior to the Phase 2 being developed, which Phase 2 now fronts along 8 Mile, and the detention basin that services that phase will outlet to 8 Mile.
She's blinded.
Need my sunglasses. That's our only comment.
Okay. Does anyone here have any questions for Leslie or Chris before we bring the applicant up?
So just to clarify, if that permit, or if that approval is not obtained, that could possibly compromise Phase 2's development?
It could, yes.
Okay.
Okay, you want to come on up?
Nick Mancinelli, 25214 Sutton Court, Novi, Michigan. Mr. Dolan, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, of the Township Board of Trustees, I'm presenting the Haas and Cleaver Farms PD amendment. I believe that the development of the Deer Haven Drive has made Haas and Cleaver Farms development one of the most, one that most of the people that live in Lion Trail and Parkwoods are in favor of. It has given everyone a more desirable avenue of travel out of their subdivision. I will start with a PowerPoint presentation and show you what we're talking about. The main difference in the amendment is this that used to go out to 8 Mile is now a cul-de-sac, and now we have an outlet going out to Griswold Road here. This sign here is going to be here on Griswold Road, the Haas and Cleaver Farm sign. Deer Haven is actually Deer Haven at Haas and Cleaver Farms. And just the other day, believe it or not, we finished paving it. So now it's asphalt, and now it's, once we get the entrance here finalized in the spring, then this will all be dedicated as public road. That'll be the last thing that we do, but it's nice to see it paved now. The people on the street are happy. And once we get Phase 1 here done, people from Lion Trail East and Lion Trail will be able to come out this way to Griswold and either go to 8 Mile or 9 Mile or 10 Mile and have a safe access to that. They won't have to jut out on 8 Mile or Pontiac Trail, and it should be better. Is that the road circulation one? Yeah, this just shows you how the circulation is going to be Once we get phase 2 done, it'll come out of Parkwoods. It'll come down here and go on out. A few of them may still go out this way, but I think for the safety, because eventually here, there's going to be a light here. There's talk about it being done maybe in 2018. Once that light's there, I think people will come out here to go to 9 or 10 Mile, and there's a light at 10 Mile, and they'll go this way because there's going to be a light at 8 Mile. I think that's going to alleviate a lot of people trying to jump out on the 8 Mile road, which is a dangerous situation with the traffic going as fast as they do. I think the next one. This is the site plan in the north end of Hassan-Cleaver Farms. This Park B is where we're going to be planting the extra 30 trees for the people of Lion Trail East and Lion Trail. That was agreement I made with them when we were going through the process. And you'll see when we show the landscape plan that there's going to be a lot of extra trees with the 30 that we're going to be planting there. And we've committed to doing that, and that'll be done here with phase 1. This is the Exhibit B drawing, right? You'll see a temporary turnaround here, and the phase ends right here, phase 1. And then you got the other Exhibit B. You'll see here is just future development. This is the development area here, and then we've got on the next sheet, this is all future development. And you'll see that there's an easement for the water main that runs all the way out to 8 Mile Road, because that's, once we tap that, we'll have a loop system all the way from 8 Mile down Hassan-Cleaver Drive, down Griswold, back to, or down Deerhaven Drive back to Griswold. So now you have a loop system with a lot of pressure. Is that the landscape plan? Oh, you got it this way?
Yep.
All right. You can see landscaping in here. I think you have. And in here, you got at least trees, and then here is your Park B. That's going to have those 30 trees. So you'll not only have these 30 trees, you'll have this information over here with these trees along the same parcel. So there'll be a lot of landscaping done in this area right here. And we're going to have some of those trees and along here too. This is a landscape plan for phase 2, which used to be phase 1. The trees that were removed here because we thought we were going out here, we've used those replacement trees and put them along here so that it'll help block the project from 2 houses that live here. Over here, where's the other sign? Small one? You'll have 2 of these signs, one at Stedman Drive and one at Gary Court, so that when people enter the project from those 2 locations, they'll know they're coming into Hassan-Cleaver Farms. And then you have the big one on Griswold that will show the large lettering. At the Planning Commission meeting, Mr. Hannon, who, go to the main first page. Mr. Hannon lives right here, and I believe he's in the audience today. He asked the Planning Commission if by the time, and Chris, I think, had brought it up with Chris, that we were here requesting approval of the final PD, if we could get that graded, which we did. And tomorrow or the next day, they're going to seed and fertilize and mulch that area back there, the whole 1 acre. So Mr. Hannon, who's back there, told me he likes the grading. And so I couldn't get that grading done till this weekend because I needed to get the pavement done on Deer Haven so I could get it in there, the machines, because the Washtenaw County Road Commission would not allow me temporary access off of 8 Mile Road. I requested a temporary access permit and they turned me down. Said you can use Deer Haven. I says, well, I can't use Deer Haven because it's not paved. They said, well, when it gets paved, you can use it. So that's the cooperation we got from the Washtenaw County Road Commission. So once we got phased, that was or paved, that was the first thing I wanted to get done, was get that graded. And my landscaper told me either tomorrow or Wednesday he's gonna plant it, so that'll be done. It'll be dormant planted and it'll come out, pop up in the springtime, so. Just
Nick, and
wanted,
that's the outlot that Chris was talking about? The muddy outlot that he was talking about? Okay.
yeah, we graded all this, and there's a little bit of stone still from the last temporary access that we're leaving there in case they have a change of heart. But I'm gonna ask them again, this is done now, and once we get this done and we want to do here, I may even ask John to write some letters. I'm gonna say I really would like to come in here with a temporary construction entrance so we're not bothering all these people and these people with construction traffic, which makes a lot of sense. But I can't guarantee they're gonna say okay, but I'm gonna try and get that. So at that time, then I'll run a stone road for temporary access if they grant me the permission, and we have no construction traffic going in anywhere out here. So I may need John's help with them at that point in time, but I don't want to push it right now because we don't need it till we get to phase 2. I'm requesting the approval, and it's been very positive for the neighbors to have Griswold Road via Deer Haven Drive. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Nick. So basically, you're looking to get, you'd like to do the first phase and not do the second phase, basically, is one of the, you want to do the first phase.
Yeah, I'd like to get this phase done here, 20 lots.
And I think some of the questions that I've heard was, what happens if you don't ever get the permit for the,
Well, I'll get it. I may have to go to court, but I will get it. There's a lot of law that's precedent that says they can't make me do a left-hand turn lane here. It's not, the permit for the groundwater discharge is not the issue. They've issued it before. And we have to come through here with a 18-inch pipe instead of the existing 15-inch. That's not an issue. The issue is they want another traffic analysis. And in my opinion, there's no need for a traffic analysis because we're not going out to 8 Mile Road. So there is no jurisdiction for that part that they have. And there's case after case law that says they can't do that.
well, let's just take the worst-case scenario, and they say, no, you can't have it. Will the first phase, can you make that stand on itself where it looks nice and, I mean,
No, this phase will stand all on its own.
well, that was the question
Yes. No,
okay. That's my question, go ahead.
My engineer there in the township said that they have to stand alone.
Right. Anyone like to go ahead?
I don't have a whole lot to say other than I appreciate the reconfiguration. I'm glad that you got Deer Haven in. The one thing I'll say, and it just kind of, just as a follow-up, you're going to see the lot that goes out to 8 Mile, not the lot, but the 1 acre. I guess I would encourage you to not use that as a temporary drive for a couple of reasons. One, you're going to seed it over, and rather than fight with the county, I think you should use the paved roads. Everyone who's moving in is going to be used to construction, and you're not going to be under construction for that long. And I think it's a reasonable expectation for someone building in a new subdivision that they're going to have construction traffic. And I guess I feel, and I live in a neighborhood where there's construction traffic, I'm the new guy, I moved in, I should have to deal with it before people who have lived there for years have to deal with it. It's my problem moving in, not theirs. And I would also say it's not the safest way to go if you're trying to bring big, heavy equipment in off of 8 Mile without controlled turning movement. When there's a stoplight at 8 and Griswold, I would encourage you to use Deer Haven. Just, that's the only comment I would say, or only comment I'd have at this point that's contrary to what you've said tonight.
Okay. Anyone else like to ask Chris?
I just,
Please.
we've heard from the applicant, and I know that Mr. Hannon is in the audience tonight, and I just would like to hear from him if you're comfortable with this? I know Nick has said that you are, but I kind of like to hear it from you.
Sure, I'm satisfied with the revised plans. I think we've all agreed Deerhaven Drive is a real plus for the township. Washtenaw County's concern was always an extra curb cut on a major road like 8 Mile. So the way it's being developed now is the way it was intended to be before Maggie Hassencleaver passed away. So I support the current plan.
And are you comfortable with the, no, the lot, is that next to yours?
We should have you come up and put your name in record, and we would have brought that up, Lisa. I was just trying to get through this. We would have let you discuss that.
Mark Hannon, 59488 8 Mile Road.
Thank you, Mark.
And your lot is next to the one that is going to be reseeded, is that correct?
Correct. I'm just right there. Yep, exactly.
Okay. And you're happy with that? And if it doesn't happen in the next couple of days, then you'll notify someone?
Well, again, the whole thing has been an unfortunate series of events, right? Because 5 feet of dirt, 44 trees were removed. But giving the way the situation is now, my understanding is eventually there'll be one home built there. So in the meantime, Nick came in and graded it, and again is committed to seeding it. So I think that's reasonable at this point in time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then I didn't know if there was anybody from Lion Trail or Parkwoods who had a comment. I just, if there is anybody, I'd just like to hear from them.
Chris Schecker, 59878 Mulberry Circle, Parkwoods. How are you folks today?
Good.
I'll answer any questions you have, but I think that this is, to piggyback off him, this has been a positive thing. I know that you guys don't get complimented all the time, but I'll go on record as saying thank you. And I'll say thank you to Nick, because he didn't really have to, he could have fought it too. I think that this demonstrates that things can be worked out and worked on together by all ends and by all parties. I'm the HOA president for Parkwoods. There are a couple concerns with the temporary road going in, one of them being the heavy traffic, or heavy equipment, like Sean said. We do have a couple residents that think it's going to remain a permanent road, but I've assured them that it wouldn't. But I will compliment Nick, and I'll compliment you guys. You've helped us out tremendously over there, so I'll turn it over to you to ask any questions. None at all? Okay.
I don't live on the south end of the township, so it helps me to hear from the people who are right there, and so.
No, like you said, it was originally going to come in off 8 Mile, and there was a lot of concerns with that with the traffic. The way it is now, this is the best scenario for everyone involved. And I think it meets the needs of everybody, both in Lion Trail and Parkwoods. I don't want to speak for Abe, but he and I have talked about this a few times, and he likes what's going on. Anything that we can do, I've called Nick a few times on my own, just recently as a week ago, and told him anything I could do to help you out, let me know. Both with the road commission or just with anybody or anything in general. So anything I could do to help out with you folks as well, let me know, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, Nick, I do really appreciate how much work you've put into being a good steward and a good neighbor to the people who are already there. So I feel like it's,
Believe it or not, I
Good.
purchased the land in 2003. That's how long it's been going on.
I have one more question about, a question on the landscaping at Gary Court. You mentioned, I think you said 30 trees or so. Is that including existing trees that were saved over there?
No,
I was trying to.
that's including, that's over and above the replacement trees that are a requirement on the landscape plan.
I guess I wasn't sure if you were talking specifically, because I was looking at the landscape plan showing 14 trees on the south side of Gary and another, it looks like 10 on the north side. So that's why I was curious if there were additional.
Yeah, the 30 additional trees are going to be spread here and. Pardon?
It's going to be where the trees are already indicated.
Where's that? Here?
Right there.
But these are the landscape trees, but there's going to be an additional 30 trees over and above those planted.
Correct. But not on their parcel, correct?
Wherever that parcel, it's hard for me to read it this way. I'm used to reading prints the other way.
So you're saying beyond the 14 trees that are shown there, there'll be an additional 30?
Yes.
On that piece? Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, well, I guess there'd be a motion. Anyone like to make a motion to approve this?
Real quick, can I make one more comment?
Well, let's get a motion on, then I'll let you talk, okay? So anyone want to make that motion?
I would move to approve the final plan development for AP 1639 Hassencleaver Farms. I think that's enough detail.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Come on up, Chris, give us some more discussion here.
There was tree shown for Lion Trail, but there was also conditions met with us for trees as well. I didn't see that on this plan. Does that matter?
Okay, now where are you talking?
There's gonna be 60 trees. Here.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be on the final plan to be part of the conditions, correct?
No, that's
Like we agreed.
That's our agreement, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In the agreement, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come up? Come on up, Mr.
One
Hannah.
more question. What's the timing for phase 2 then?
Once I get phase 1 done, which hopefully be this summer, then I'm gonna do phase 2, either late fall or more than likely spring of 2019.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Any further?
Just to clarify, so the additional trees that were just spoken about, those will get added onto the plans then, just so it's documented?
Well, on these 60 here, when we get to phase 2, the agreement was we're gonna stake where they go, and we're gonna meet with members of the homeowners association. They're gonna go across these lots between the property line and their property line, and then we're gonna get an approval for Mr. Duzen, and then we're gonna plant them. Now, the 30 over here, same way. We'll stake them out where they're gonna go, have Mr. Duzen take a look at them, approve them, and then we'll plant them.
Is there a guarantee, a warranty or guarantee on the
1-year
trees?
warranty on all the plants.
And does that include, like, the cost of delivery of the tree as well as the actual trees?
The landscaper will bring in a new tree and replant it.
Okay,
That's the agreement we have with the landscaping companies that we hire.
okay,
It's 1-year guarantee, and they have to remove the tree, bring the new one in, replant it, restake it, and then it belongs to the association.
excellent, thank you.
Are those agreements with the homeowners associations?
Yes.
Could you send me a copy of them?
Sure.
And then I'll forward them to the township for their files as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, any further? All right, we have a motion and a support to approve the final plan development for Hassencleaver Farms. Will you please call this one by roll?
Before you, does this require 2 readings,
Is it a 2 reading?
Pardon me?
since it's an ordinance amendment?
I don't know what number we're on. Is this the first?
This is the first.
Oh, yeah, you're
First
gonna have to have
yep,
2 then.
First amendment,
Okay, so this will be a first reading?
Yes.
Yeah.
approval, the development first reading.
You want to amend your, everything good?
Don't need vote at all.
No, it's fine.
Okay, this is a first reading. Call this by roll, please, Kelly.
John Dolan?
Yes.
Sean O'Neill?
Yes.
Patricia Carcone?
Yes.
John Hicks?
Yes.
Lisa Blades?
Yes.
Michelle Cash?
Yes.
Christopher Enlow?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Too late.
Why is there 2 readings on something? I'm curious.
I
Because
wasn't sure
under
on
the
that.
township zoning ordinance, the PD is actually rezoning.
I got you.
So it requires 2 readings before the board can
I was
adopt.
always wondering. I never knew the reason why.
There shouldn't be a whole lot to talk about next time.
That's all.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you can probably do without the presentation next time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nick. All right, on to the consideration to accept the sale of the 2006 Rescue 1. Chief.
So we have a new rescue, and which means we have an old rescue in reserve from 2006 with 65,000 miles on it. We've put it on mitten a couple times times without success, without any bids. Right after the second closing of the last bid, we received a phone call from Marcus Jackson, who was interested in purchasing the rescue for $4,000. Originally, we were asking for $6,000. So, because we've had no movement on Mitten, and this thing has been sitting there for quite a while, as a matter of fact, there's a developing story that we couldn't get it started today. And we've had the mechanic out for the last week trying different things to get it started.
Do you have Doug? Is that Doug?
No, this was Chris. His name's escaping me at the time, but we've been using him for years, and he lives in the township, and he's done very well for us. But basically, he suggested that we get it. It needs to get to Heinz Park and to be looked at, and the problem is we can't get it to Heinz Park. We asked the potential buyer if he was still interested, and he is. His question is, how low would we go? It's, like I said, $4,000 is what's being asked now. We need to get it to Heinz Park and get it looked at. If you want my recommendation, I'd probably say $3,000-ish.
Will he come take it out of there for 3,000?
It's as is. It's as is. Once we make the sale, then it's up to him to get it to Heinz Park and get it served. Get the work that needs to be done.
So you don't want to take it to Heinz Park, you just want to give him he's asking for a better offer.
Basically, and I was trying to factor in the cost to tow it to Heinz Park, and then, for what that service would be to get it running. So the mechanic is, guessing there's a lot of things he looked over. It could just be because it's too cold and it may be just gummed up. It's a diesel, and.
How long does it sit there?
I think if Sean got a running start, you could have him push it.
I don't know. I'm not in great shape.
Okay.
How long has it sat there?
It's been, pretty much most of the summer. Yeah, it's been there a while, and it's been outside.
It's never good
Yeah,
for
we
them
try and get
diesels
out there
to
and
sit.
start it routinely. We did have it started up last week, but he's been trying a bunch of different things. So.
All right, so you're thinking that if he was to make an offer of $3,000, that would be fair if he came and got it and took it away? Okay, well, let's talk about it. Go ahead and,
You mentioned that the funds would be used would go into line item 672.000, and in what way could those funds be used under that line item?
That's it would be in our revenue line. So I guess it would just go towards help me out with Michelle, maybe, as far as would that go towards the fund balance, is what I'm guessing?
It's just other income, so
Yeah.
you just have income to spend.
Okay, so it'd be in the
It'd just
budget,
be
yeah.
offsetting, yeah,
That's
it's
right.
coming into its revenue, so you can bring
Okay.
that in as other income.
But I mean, it can
and
be
Yeah.
used for anything then. I mean,
Not
it's
nothing, yeah, no commitment like to another vehicle or anything
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
It's just, income.
well, in my opinion, I think, you're telling us you were asking for, and if it won't start, it's probably gonna take at least probably 500 or more to get it to the Heinz Park, no telling what they're gonna charge. I'd be in favor of letting it go for 3. That's just my opinion.
3, but he comes to get it. That's the deal.
As is, he has to come and get it.
That's what the
I
phone
wouldn't
call
want
would tell him, that he comes, it's as is. Yep.
And then if he turns that down, then what's our next move? Do we take it to Heinz Park and get
Can't
it
say
going?
it.
I mean, what is it, what would be our next
I
move?
would make sure that you get guaranteed funds also. I would prefer
right.
if you ask them to give cash, honestly.
Okay.
And
I
the reason I'm
honestly,
asking, Ken, is so you don't have to come back to the board again. So the board can tell you what they'd like to see if he turns this down.
well, I can say something that I brought up a couple months ago, and I really wasn't prepared for this question, but a couple months ago, we were talking with Belfour and this department up north in the UP that has a $12,000 operating budget for their entire department. So there was just a shipment of turnout gear and just safe equipment. They had turnout gear from the 80s and 90s that is not even NFPA compliant. So that was floated out there as far as, okay, what would it take to get the, to give them a rescue? And so even if we went down to and again, this is just my number, $1,500 to see if they would be interested in purchasing that ambulance and go to the UP, that they would again make the pickup and take it as is to the UP. It better be pretty quick though. So.
What city up there?
Oh, it's I'll have it before the end of the meeting, but it's on the east side of the UP facing Canada. It's on the lake. It's near one of our sergeants.
Oh, is it near Detour?
It's near Detour. I think it's just north of that.
Okay.
And so they've been getting a lot of publicity because the fire service around Michigan has just really jumped in and started bringing them a lot of equipment. And so this would be, it'd be good PR for us, but that would, I guess, be my second option.
I would just like to get to a conclusion. So let this board tell you what we're going to do, just because it has to keep killing months coming back. So I'd like you to ask questions and tell him what you'd like him to do. If we say, yeah, 3,000's good, okay, and it gets turned down, what would you like him to do from there?
Would somebody from the UP come to get it, or would you have to take it?
I was told that they would come get it. And I'm not taking it.
But it has to start. It's like a private.
Again, Sean could push it
have a
up
record.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, any flavor for this so we
I
can
just
move
think we
this
need
forward?
to get rid of it. It's
Okay.
just sitting there rotting. It's of no purpose, and if someone else can make good use of it, it's really a waste to just let it
Okay,
decay
and
out
by
there.
the way, we were also told that we cannot give it away.
Correct.
We
Yeah.
cannot.
That's
So
true.
you have to get
Asset
money
of the
for it.
Right.
township,
Okay.
so-
And
So
we'll also
whatever it
remove
takes
the
to get rid of it,
decals.
is that what I'm hearing?
Thank you.
Is that what I'm
Yes.
hearing here?
I like the plan and the backup plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds
All
good.
right, I don't think do we need to make any motions for that?
Yeah, I
We
would
do?
make a motion for both. Include the alternative in the motion, I mean.
Okay, so I'll move to approve the sale of the 2006 Rescue One MedTech E350 for $3,000 with a guarantee. Is that how you said it? Guarantee funding, Patty?
Well, yeah.
Guarantee,
I
with
say
guarantee
cash.
funds.
Cash.
Okay.
Sold as cash, and if that does not, if that falls through, please offer it to the UP for $1,500 if they will come get it.
Okay.
Can you make that in
The
one
remo-
motion? Okay.
The removal of the decals? Is that what you
Yeah.
said
Yes,
you
yeah,
wanted?
Yep.
that's, yeah, definitely.
I mentioned that quietly.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion in support. All those in favor say
Oh,
aye.
wait, do we get a support?
I'll support.
Yes.
Okay.
Sean
Oh,
did.
Sean,
Sean
sorry.
supported it.
Not
Sean
hearing
support.
today, I apologize.
All those in
Okay.
favor say aye.
Trying to
Opposed?
get a couple past.
Okay. All right, you got it, chief.
Take it over.
You got it, okay? Moving on. Recommend revisions of zoning ordinance dealing with residential density and plan developments. Text amendment AP 1741. That's Chris.
Yes, this is the famous parallel plan amendment. In the process of our research, we found that there's some township board members and planning commissioners who believe that the parallel plan regulations in the plan development section of the ordinance are not explicit enough, resulting in parallel plan designs that inflate the number of units that could be approved. But on the other hand, we found also that there are members of the board and planning commission who feel that the parallel plan should be used as an advisory tool to guide the decision makers, and there should be some flexibility to vary the parallel plan figures when determining the appropriate density for a planned development. So it was a challenge to put together some regulations that address both of those points of view. The key parts of the amendment on page 1 of the standards is, I'll read that section to you. It says the overall density of residential uses within a planned development shall be based on the density that could be achieved with the underlying zoning. To approximate the density that could be achieved with the underlying zoning, the applicant shall submit a parallel plan, which is a conceptual subdivision layout based on the uses of land, dimensional requirements, and density allowed by right in the district in which the land is located. Now, that much is already in the ordinance. What follows is new language. It says the parallel plan shall adhere to the following principles. 1, it shall reflect a realistic assessment of wetland use, considering the constraints imposed by the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality and U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Accordingly, the parallel plan shall minimize wetland fill and the need for mitigation. 2, all lots on the parallel plan shall be able to accommodate the proposed housing product without encroaching into required setbacks. 3, the parallel plan shall allocate land for stormwater management facilities in an amount necessary to accommodate the development's needs pursuant to the township engineering standards. And 4th, the parallel plan shall comply with the applicable requirements in the zoning ordinance and the subdivision ordinance. The parallel plan shall be used as an advisory tool to be used as a guide by the Planning Commission and the Township Board to determine the appropriate density of residential plan development. Thus, the particular design characteristics of the plan development may warrant an increase or decrease in the number of dwelling units above or below the number shown on the parallel plan. Now, the rest of the language is pretty much the same as what's in the ordinance currently, with some modifications, just some updates in the criteria that are used to determine when a density increase is warranted. But what I read to you is really the guts of the proposed amendment. And this went in front of the Planning Commission. They had a lot of discussion and went back and forth. They had a public hearing. And after some deliberation, they made a motion that was approved unanimously to recommend approval of the proposed amendments to the Township Board.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, well, I guess this is up for discussion. I mean, we don't want to get to the point where we're using the parallel plan for the plan. Okay, that's my, how much money do we want them to put into a parallel plan, I guess. This, to me, doesn't seem that drastic, what you just read to me. I
Right.
think it's actually a pretty good balance,
That's what we were trying to achieve.
and I believe that. That's my opinion. You go ahead and, guys, open it up. Anybody?
I can start because I was kind of driving this one a little bit on this. A few comments. Item number 1, I noticed in the Planning Commission minutes that there was some question on the wetland fill on the parallel plan versus would be the plan development. The way it's worded now, I like it. It does say, the parallel plan shall minimize wetland fill and the need for mitigation, but the question arose at Planning Commission was that's still kind of vague, and it was raised by a developer actually, and was looking for more of a quantitative aspect of that. And so I gave that some thought as an idea, is perhaps that those the fills, it'd be very difficult to get them exactly equal amongst the two different plans. But if they're within a lot of each, so if they're proposing, half-acre lots or something, or 10,000 square foot lots, then, as long as the mitigation's within that margin of error, I think that's an idea of a way to quantify that might help alleviate some of the concerns that were brought up. Another item that I'd like to add on to this is the use of utilities. This one kind of came up with the Cottages at Turtle Creek project, where their parallel plan assumed the use of township's water and sewer But when their proposed plan, part of that development was on well and septic. So they were able to, kind of skew the lots on the well and septic properties, assuming they had water and sewer access. I doubt it's gonna come up a lot, but it has come up once, so that their parallel plan just basically reflects the use of utilities if they're gonna be using water and sewer versus well and septic. At the end, Chris summarized the justifications for a density increase. He's got 12 items on there. I just compared it to the old ordinance, and 2 items were removed. One was the rural view shed depth of 200 to 300 feet. I'd like that one to remain, although I don't know if that's something that is gonna, it would trigger a density bonus if they're able to provide that. And the other one was preservation of historic farms and barns and other buildings. I guess I'm kind of I like history, so I kind of like that one. I know it can kind of cause a burden on the development if it's donated to the particular development itself, but perhaps there might be other ways that we might be able to take advantage of that for the township and maybe convert that into like a pocket park or something if we have a historic building or something in the township that we may want to preserve. So I guess I wouldn't mind if those 2 items were placed back into the 12. And also curiosity on whether or not we should continue to note on each of those items if it's a high, moderate, or low consideration for density bonus. We previously had that in the ordinance. So for instance, the protection of land from annexation was a high priority, so that would generate, if this was going to protect us from annexation, that would generate the highest amount of density bonus for our consideration. So that's my information dumped to the board.
Okay.
Any thoughts?
I know, I was just gonna say, I know we donated, or they had the historical site for the barn, was it at Peters Farm?
Barn.
And I think has not gone well.
No.
Yes, not.
So that's the hard part with keeping those historic buildings. And then the American Historical Society or the History Channel, somebody took it over or tried to, but it just didn't work out. And I don't think that the residents want it, and they don't want to take care of it, and they don't want their homeowners association taking care of that. So that's a hard one to.
They're always on tax sale every year. It's a property or close to it, it gets right to the end. And Michelle's actually right. They call here to try to figure out how they can give it back to the township.
Yeah.
Because
It's part of their PD, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That would be weird how part
Yeah.
of a PD could go to a tax sale, but
I know.
well,
but they don't.
it's got individual taxes on
so
it.
it's on its own parcel.
Yeah.
It's on its own parcel.
So that's a hard one to.
We can put it on as a low priority or something.
Yeah, but I just want to let you know
Yeah,
that that's the
that
only
was the
one
one
we've
that-
had, and it was like, ooh, it's not
Sunkist
working.
or
It sounded good. It sounded like a good idea.
Sunquest or Crest, yeah. They've tried to actually get rid of it on a lot of different things because they don't want to take care of it. It's a burden on that homeowners association. Even to know you think it's a great idea, but really they don't want to take care of it.
Well, I like Chris's comments regarding item 1 on page 1, where the fills should be perhaps within, 1 lot as a margin for error. I like that solution to quantify it. I had the same question regarding the item with the similar utilities with water, sewer, septic, and it was specifically that Turtle Creek or Turtle Dove or Turtle something project, and I'd like to see that put in there. And Chris, I just had a question regarding item number 4 on page 2, the very top line. The
Yep.
parallel plan shall comply with applicable requirements of the zoning ordinance. Now, does that include the code of ordinances? Because we have the code of ordinances and then we also have the zoning ordinances. And so.
Yeah, the subdivision ordinance is in the code of ordinances, so that would be correct.
Okay, because I know that there's like buildings and regulations and design and construction standards and land divisions, those are all separate items within our code of ordinances. So I just didn't know if that should read subdivision or if that should read code. Because there are multiple chapters within the code of ordinances, not just the subdivision ordinance. And I just,
Yeah, let me think about that.
okay, so that was just clarification I would like on that. And I do also like Chris's thought about having a rating system, and if we did institute that rating system, I like the idea of having the preservation item included, although based on what Patty and Michelle have said, it can be very difficult, but maybe if that is a low priority, but, and I do also like the rural view shed item. So I guess a repeat of Mr. Enlow and then my own thought about the code of ordinances.
Okay, anyone else have anything to add? Okay, so with all of that, Chris, is this something you need to look at?
Yeah, I guess so. I would propose to look at those and revise it further and bring it back to you.
Okay.
Is everybody good with that? So we should probably table this, or
Is this
do
the
you?
first reading, or?
Well, do we want to make a reading of this, or do we want to wait till we get it back? What do you want to do? Do you want to make a first
We
reading?
can
or-
move it to second reading and still make revisions.
Right.
Right, I'm okay.
Yeah.
You want to do that? All right, motion's in order.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for the first reading of the zoning ordinance dealing with residential density and plan developments, text amendment AP 17-41.
Okay.
Support.
All right, we have a motion and a support. Any further discussion? You want to call this one by roll?
First reading, you don't.
Christopher Enlow,
Yes.
John Dolan,
Yes.
Tricia Falcone,
Yes.
Sean O'Neill,
Yes.
Michelle Cash,
Yes.
John Hicks.
Yes.
Lisa Blades.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. All right, resolution approving the program year 2018 Community Development Block Grant. That's in resolution form. Is everyone taking a look at that? Want to move that one on?
I'll move to approve resolution for the program year 2018 Community Development Block Grant application. Boy, I'm having a tough time.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. John, you supported that?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, want to call this one by roll?
Lisa Blades,
Yes.
Michelle Cash,
Yes.
Christopher Enlow,
Yes.
John Hicks,
Yes.
Sean O'Neill,
Yes.
John Dolan,
Yes.
and Tricia Falcone.
Yes.
Okay. Next in line, we have our 2017 budget amendments. You were handed a piece of paper there that has all of our budget amendments on them. And I don't know if you've all had a chance to take a look at this. The majority of these amendments were approved by the board, the graveling of the roads and the different streets. And the one thing that we didn't have was the cemetery, and the difference in the adopted budget and the one we amended it to was the water pump in the cemetery went bad, and we had to have it repaired. And it was a little costly. It was a little hand pump, and they had to pull the thing out, and we had so many complaints on that, people not being able to water the graves, and but we got it working, and it cost a little extra money. Is there any questions on any of the other things in here that you see? These are really only a few amendments.
No, I just think these are, like, with the majority of these are, we kind of struck on some good opportunities, like the paving of Old Plank at Grand River. and
Exactly.
Additional gravel on the streets and
gravel.
stuff, and the election grant dollars for the new equipment and stuff, so this is.
Assessing was just because we had excess parcels. That all goes by parcel number, count. So that's why that was a little more.
And the big amendment, as you see, is the other functions, and that was the road. We made the deal on
Milford
Ring
Road
Road.
East. Good job.
Yeah, that comes back to us.
We'll make about 100,000 on
years.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was Patty's good.
Good bargaining.
Can this be dealt with on one motion, or do we need to go through it?
Just one
You can
motion.
do one motion.
I will make a motion to approve the 2017 general fund budget amendments of December 4th, 2017.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. We're going to call this one by roll, please.
Patricia Carcone?
Yes.
John Hicks?
Yes.
Christopher Enlow?
Yes.
John Dolan?
Yes.
Tom O'Neill?
Yes.
Lisa Page?
Yes.
Michelle Fish?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. All right, moving on. This is the consideration of the 2018 budget and adoption. And this is a big one, and I've been working on it for a while. And I know I've been talking to a lot of you guys about this, that, and the other, but it is a very, very good-looking budget. We are very positive in all categories. And it's up for adoption. And any questions that you may have?
John, I'd just like to say thanks to you and everybody here, running departments, putting all these budgets together so clearly, because it was very helpful to go through it in this fashion this year. So I appreciate all of the effort by everyone involved in putting a nice, clean budget together. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And this is our first format of the new budget that I'm really proud of. And Michelle and Patty and I worked really hard to get this into common sense. And it's probably the coolest budget so far.
My favorite might be the vertical orientation, so I have to really follow it across, so.
Yeah, it's really been a good one. So I think, and I think we can approve these all at once. I don't think we have to individually peel them out unless there's something you guys want to talk about.
I happen to think, looking at our amendments, have we got the money for South Hill budgeted?
It's in our budget for.
It is in the budget,
Yes.
that's okay.
Yes, actually, you'll notice that we've added, after the budget meeting, we've added some things, and there is some clarification if you'd like. And I want to talk to you about this one also, the Griswold Road 8-mile light, okay? I put $150,000 in the budget for that light in case we have to make that improvement. I don't think we're gonna have to, but if we do, I want to make sure it's in the budget, because I have to put together a letter to approve that light, that temporary light staying there. And if I don't give them an approval letter pretty quick, they're going to take it down, okay? So they promised me, if this board approves this budget with that money's in it, I could approve that light to stay there until we put the permanent one up.
It's under
That's what that
Washtenaws-
money's in there for.
If it's under Washtenaws control, will they pay the bill?
No, we have to build a light, and then we have to give it to them. But that's what that money was in there for. We also took Chris had mentioned the paving of Dixboro. We have that was put in. There was the intersection at Grand River and South Hill, that money was put in. We also put in a budget of $180,000 for roads, maintenance on roads. And that again will be, Oakland County will come to us and say, hey, these roads need super maintenance. And they kick in a lot of money if we can help fund that and we can get some of our roads fixed. So that's kind of why the monies have went up in here. They were big ticket items.
A lot of good road improvement projects have happened over the last couple of years with some great cooperation with the road commission
really
and the
has.
support of this board moving them along. So I think the public's generally pretty happy with not only traffic controls at unsafe intersections, but the graveling of roads that need it and the paving of roads that have long needed it. So, thanks.
And as you can see, every fund we have is very positive, and we're in black on every fund. So we're doing a very good job here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's kind of a ball of wax on that. It's up to you if you would like to move this thing and adopt it.
I had a couple of comments that, that I
Please.
brought up at our budget workshop. Line item in the building department,
Didn't see that.
705.006, reception building department. I am pleased to see that number increased from our workshop to today. I'd like to see that push a little bit higher. I think that, we all talk about how busy our township is and how busy the building and the explosion of the growth. And I look at some of the salaries that we have from some dedicated employees, and looking at a salary of $35,000, I don't know that we could get some of these people here for that, or somebody with that much experience within our township for just $35,000. And so I would like to see that pushed up, although I know that's not, that's really under the building department's decision. But that's something that I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
It's the only comment that I have right now.
Anybody else?
I think we answered just about all the questions.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, there was Patty and John, and Michelle. I inundated them with a lot of questions. This is my first go-around with the budget, so. Chief Van, I talked to him a couple times on the budget too. Mark Venus, I had a question for him on the police fund, and talked to the library too, Holly over there. So I pretty much made the rounds and got to learn a lot, and looking pretty good.
Well, and I believe as we go forward with this new format, you are going to be very in touch. I mean, these can be updated every month, and we can get these at the end of every month. You can see exactly where we're at. You can see the percentages of our projects, and it's going to be much better going forward. You'll be very in touch. And if you notice, these budgets are right to the end of November. So we're only in December. We're right there. These are real-time numbers. So it makes it very positive. It's a great way to do it.
I do have some questions also regarding the fire department fund. I see an item in here that was added that I don't recall being discussed at our workshop, 707 with 3% COLA and then proposed 3 full-time fire officers. I guess, on some of the other items, like we did have that discussion regarding the stipend in lieu of health insurance. And I did have some other questions at that time too, at our workshop. And I just wanted to understand a little bit more from you, John, if you could explain, if it's in the budget, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are saying, yes, that this is going to go forward.
This budget, all a budget is we're proposing monies to be spent in 2018 if approved by this board.
Okay.
So all of these things, the policies, everything that we have on here still has to come back to this board. If we get the graveling of the roads, or if we get the stipend that goes through, all that has to become policy, and it has to be talked about through this board.
Okay.
These are only placeholders. These
Okay.
are just proposed, and nothing is done until the resolutions are passed. So
All right.
it's all this is. It's just
So
to
it's-
make sure we stay in the black down here.
Okay. I just, because this is only the second one
No,
that I've done.
and that's a
so,
great question.
Just for clarification, I think too, for some residents who might be questioning some different items, would it be somewhat like, all right, I'm going to budget, $300 for my heating costs in February, and lucky me if it's less than $300. I just needed to still have that money set aside. Is that? But it doesn't necessarily mean we will approve that.
This is even a little different than that. We can't even have the conversation if we don't have the money set aside. If we couldn't set the money aside and see that we stayed in the black down here in our proposed budget, we couldn't even have the talk.
Okay.
Just because it opens up the conversation.
Okay.
But everything has to be passed.
All right.
John, on that same line, I just noticed that there's one position, line I'm sorry, fire budget still, it doesn't, it looks like there's a 3% cost of living for fire inspector, fire marshal, but then it doesn't reflect it in the right column.
That might be a
So I just wanted to make sure it,
typo on that.
Well, that shouldn't have been there, because
Yeah, that's a
he's
typo. I don't
asking
think it
just for
moved.
that salary.
okay.
And it didn't move, did it?
So,
Nope, that stayed the same.
So it shouldn't say, you're saying the budget should not say 3%?
2%, correct.
No.
It shouldn't say that.
And Michelle, I think you mentioned too, like with professional services, I know that there was discussion, but I don't really know the follow-up where you have here, that Raina had an audit expense and then the
Yes.
16,000, I mean, we're 537% of what was budgeted. So
Right,
if
because
you
we
could-
only had budgeted 3,000, and what happens is when, new firefighters are put on, they have to go through, a physical.
Right.
And so anytime there's anybody new, that comes on, and that's what the line item that hits that budget. And then the audit, and I'm pretty sure we put an audit line in here for the 5,000. So, yep, that will put that out, because they're a new fund, so we didn't have them audited before, because they were audited with the general fund in the past.
Right, okay.
Anybody else have anything? Well, somebody want to make a motion to approve this budget for 2018?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Okay, you want to call this by roll, please?
Michelle Cash?
Yes.
Lisa Blades?
Yes.
Sean O'Neill?
Yes.
John Dolan?
Yes.
Tricia Cantone?
Yes.
John Hicks?
Yes.
Christopher Enlow?
Yes.
Thank you all for all the participation in that. This is really a good one. Okay, moving on. Fire marshal promotion. Chief?
Thank you for the budget support. It's coming up. Brian Holzheimer has been serving as the fire inspector since Don Kolek retired as fire marshal. And he has been working with the building department. I think you should have an endorsement letter from the building department because of the positive working relationship that they've had, and also the positive relationship that he's had with the citizens and schools of this community. We put the notice out a few months ago. Brian was the only qualified candidate, having met all of the requirements as a certified fire inspector, having the certified fire officer 3, and again, meeting all the requirements. Him and his wife also live here in Lyon Township. What I'm proposing tonight is to, if we could get the approval of a promotion from fire inspector to fire marshal, that would go into effect in January at the January board meeting, where I would have him sworn in, have his family here. But I mentioned last month that next week we're getting a visit from Insurance Services Offices, better known as ISO, and we're trying to ensure and improve our fire insurance premium rating. Right now we're at a class 5. We hope to go to a class 4, and who knows. But part of that is that we have more full-time personnel, better staffing, and also planning and prevention. And Brian has been doing that. He organized our first fire prevention day that we've had since I've been here. So it's been numerous years since this is not the Halloween party. This is to educate families and children. So that was a great success. He's actually delivering a presentation in Lansing at the Michigan Fire Inspectors Winter Conference on successful local risk reduction programs on things that he's been working on in the fire prevention office. And this will shine a great light on all of us in Lyon Township. And otherwise he left Farmington Hills. He was a sergeant there after 10 years, and he's not planning on going anywhere, and he doesn't have applications in a bunch of fire departments, so we train him and move on. He is planning on staying and utilizing his wife's health care as well. And so if this does go through, again, this would just be the paper that we could show ISO that we're improving staffing, and then we would just have the ceremony or swearing in January. Not a big ceremony.
I think there would be a big ceremony.
Big
Will there be
ceremony, yeah.
balloons?
There'd be cake.
Yeah,
If there's cake, and will the balloons fall from the ceiling?
possibly. Well,
If it's New Year's Eve-esque, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
and he could
Fine, I
drive the
will work
rescue
on
up
that
north
for you.
too if it goes.
He
through.
can drive the rescue up north,
Congratulations on that, yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
and
Well,
Sean can
somebody.
push it, right?
Yeah.
While he's on probation.
I do want to say Brian I really like Brian. He has been a really influence to even everybody in the office here. He's very friendly. He comes in. I've had several people on businesses call me and just say thank you. I mean, this guy's really with it. He understands what's happening. It's been a pleasure. I've had a lot of compliments on Brian.
And we've been hearing that, and just another bonus, I think, that, meets another concern is staffing. And so we still will have him committed to operations, and that he will be responding. He can pull an engine onto the freeway. Today, we had 2 calls at one time, which I mentioned earlier. A third call came in, and Brian responded on his own with, South Lyon Mutual Aid. So we still get that dual response, and I think that's very beneficial as well.
But I also want to say too, I get compliments about the entire fire department. Everybody talks very highly of the Lyon Township Fire Department. But I have been getting a lot about Brian lately, so very good.
Very good.
Any questions for the chief, please?
I just want to say that I echo John, that it is a delight, Brian, to have you. And we appreciate it. He comes in often, which we love to see. And he is personable. He asks us if he can do anything for us. Do you need anything from me? And everybody is delighted to see you when you come in, and it's just a pleasure. I'm so happy for you and your family.
Great.
Thanks for keeping up on the FOIAs.
Oh, and he does
That's
do a
April.
good job at the planning
Yeah,
commission also.
yeah, we named him the FOIA manager
Very
without
much
any
appreciate
benefits.
your letters are on time too. Thank you.
I appreciate all of your hard work, Brian, and I'm glad, Ken, that you're moving this ahead quickly so we can fill this empty spot. And, not just for ISO, that's just one of the
And
added
exactly.
benefits. Obviously, the community needs this full-time position filled for response purposes and staffing, so
Yeah.
thank you for bringing it forward, too.
He won't let us down. He'll do a great job.
I really believe that. Any other questions?
I'll bring the balloons.
Well, I guess a motion would be in order then to go ahead and promote Brian.
I'll make the motion to promote Brian Holzheimer from fire inspector to fire marshal.
Support.
Could you add the date, his starting date, which is January 1st, right? 2018?
Yeah, I would go with January 1st, yeah,
So we can start with the pay period, get them all.
exactly.
Yes, with the starting date of January 1st.
You want to mention the salary too? 49,770.
Yes, 49,770.
And then support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Brian.
Welcome, Brian.
Fire Marshal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our last agenda item, 11 Mile Road Park topographical survey and site design, 11 Mile. Well,
I was asked by the Friends of the 11 Mile Park committee or organization that was recently formed to raise funds and to, with the goal of developing that park in phases, to prepare a proposal for topographic survey as well as the engineering design of the park. And so we drafted the proposal. I submitted it to the Friends of the 11 Mile Park, which the representatives are here, John Bell and Dean Wickham. And the proposal also includes the required permits to develop the park, including a well permit, a septic field, Aloma, there is quite a bit of the upland area that is within the floodplain, and so it requires a letter of map amendment from the DEQ. And we would complete the design of the entire site with the exception of there is a pathway that's intent is to be a nature pathway as part of Phase 2 that goes through the woods in the Six Rivers Conservancy. That area is planned to be natural, so it does not include a topographic survey or tree survey of that area. So really, we're surveying the upland area, which would be the park, the ball fields, the parking lot, the entrance, as well as applying for all of those permits. And our proposal is a lump sum fee of $35,340.
I should add, I guess, and I think the Friends are also asking that you allocate an additional amount up to $42,000, is that right? For the,
For the wetland delineation that would be necessary, and if soil borings are necessary, which they might be as part of the pavilion. Our proposal doesn't include architectural for pavilion. What we would do is the civil engineering design that would show the location of the pavilion, but the Friends of the Park would have to, at some point in the future, hire an architect for that design as well. So this proposal doesn't include that. But $42,000 would get the site designed, and the permits, and then they could proceed with bidding out Phase 1.
All your surveying and everything is confined to the upland.
Yes, well, to the area of, would include the area of the drain, because we'd have the detention basin, but it doesn't include the woods, which is in the Conservancy.
Okay, does everybody understand what we're trying to do here? I guess this would be the absolute kickoff of the 11-mile park. This would be the first steps to get this thing going. I don't know if Dean, you or John, you want to have anything? You want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here?
So hi again, Dean Whitcomb, 25885 McCrory Lane. So the recently formed Friends of the Park Committee is pretty exciting. With obviously the mission one is the 11-mile road park, but I think there's some long-term advantages to the development of this committee. It is trying to get set up as a 501c3, which is going to enable the township to open new avenues of funding that wouldn't necessarily be available just to a governmental entity. And working with Mr. Swain from the Park Advisory Board, Mr. Dews and Leslie as well, there's been some good connections made where we're moving forward and working together. This is obviously the first step, is getting these surveys done, and I think the timing's right with the funding that you guys have already put in place and some additional funding that looks like it's probably going to come through, knock on wood, that the timing's right to get moving, and this is obviously the next step to get shovels in the ground. So I don't know if you guys have any questions at all, but.
Well, I think you kind of said it all. I think this is the kickoff. Without this, I don't think we move.
I would agree, and the long-term goals here of the committee are to work in conjunction with the board, obviously, and the Park Advisory Board, but is to develop this 501c3 and some planning to go out and continue to fundraise for the park. And I think that's one of the ultimate goals here. So that's the long-term play for sure.
Okay, any questions for Dean? Anyone? Everyone understand the importance of going forward? Okay, well, it sounds good. Anyone want to carve out a motion to go ahead and get this moving?
Is this coming out of a line item in the park?
It will. It'll come out of that. It'll come out of one of the revenue streams from the park.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve CES's project description for the 11-mile park topographical survey in the amount of $35,300.
42. I think, is that what you wanted, the 42,000 for the wetland?
Well, if you're authorizing my proposal is only for $35,340.
Right.
Yes.
30.
I think they wanted to go, did they not
Authorization
want? What did you
for
say, Chris?
additional expense.
Yeah, if it could be perhaps read as not to exceed 42,000, that's going to cover us for the boring for the.
Wetland delineation.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Do you want to do that?
I can amend my motion. So I'll make a motion to approve the topographical survey and site design with a soil boring, just one, Leslie, is that what it is, or?
In wetland delineation.
Wetland delineation in the amount of not to exceed $42,000.
Okay,
Support.
all right, motion and support. Any further discussion?
Just excited that we're getting a move on
I
it.
know, it's exciting. Kelly, could you call this one by roll, please?
John Hicks,
Yes.
Patricia Carcone.
Yes.
Christopher Enlow.
Yes.
John Dolan.
Yes.
Sean O'Neill.
Yes.
Michelle Cash.
Yes.
Lindsey Blake.
Yes.
Gotta get more red on that sign.
All right, well,
Thank you, we'll get started right away.
Increased by an inch.
Little tiny,
Yeah.
well, believe it or not, we got through this. And now we have to go to closed session, so we need to make that motion.
I will make a motion that we move into closed session to discuss the pending lawsuit of 10 Milford versus Lyon Township in accordance with the Open Meetings Act MCL 15.268E, because discussion in an open meeting would have a detrimental financial effect on the township, and B, to discuss 2 attorney-client privilege communications in accordance with the Open Meetings Act MCL 15.268H.
Thank you.
If you need a support,
Yes.
we'll do it.
Okay, we have a motion and a support to go into closed session. Please call this one by roll.
Lisa Blades.
Yes.
Michelle Cash.
Yes.
Sean O'Neill.
Yes.
John Dolan.
Yes.
Christopher Enlow.
Yes.
Patricia Carcone.
Yes.
John Hicks.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take a recess while we
Yes.
move the cameras.